bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it.
Open look, Gomez, he hits it! What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago! Oh my God! Kane with the overtime winner!
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6. Kane Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
What a weekend. You know what? Let's go a little bit further, can we? What an incredible sports calendar we have had. Welcome, everybody, on a Monday. Glad you made it through the weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. I know Andy McDonald did. I know I did. And we're glad you're with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. You can call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as we stream live on X and Facebook and YouTube. The reason I say that about the calendar, I want you to, just for a moment, bear with me. The Knicks won an NBA championship. Indiana football won a national championship. Sam Darnold was the starting quarterback of a Super Bowl champion. Team USA won gold. The Bears are moving to Indiana. And the Chicago White Sox, a Big Ten team won a national championship in basketball. And the White Sox lead the AL Central. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's for sure, man.
All the things you thought were going to happen, they ain't happening.
No, that's
right
the
now.
truth. That is definitely the truth.
Yeah, here's the thing that I want to talk about right out of the get-go. Actually, we'll do it after I hear about Andy's weekend and the golf weekend that we both enjoy so much. Clinching on the road, so much for home field, home ice, home court. Beating a team that beat the team, and rest versus rust. That's what we're going to get into. 7:18, it's Mondays with Mitch. Mitch Lyons, our friend, will join us at 7:18. Always look forward to that. Chris Solari at 8:35 to try and give us an idea of what the hell is going on in Michigan State.
I think everybody's trying to figure that out right now.
That is, it's been absolutely crazy. But first, I went into the weekend, Andy, when you and I said goodbye to one another on Friday morning. I did not have a golf tee time set. That's
dangerous in today's day and age.
It's very dangerous. I was a little worried. I got a text from a buddy, said, hey, we need one more for our afternoon tee time. Are you in? Double thumbs up. Really excited. Played well. Saturday morning or Friday evening, I get a text from Gibby. Kurt Gibson. Hey, we need another one for tomorrow morning. Are you in? Absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. My son tells me on Saturday, hey, I made a tea time for us on Sunday. I forgot to tell you. Oh, great. So I did that. And then my daughter said, Dad, can we go play the par 3 course Sunday afternoon? No doubt we can't. Now, that got rained out, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sucks.
But everything else I got in, and I was super pumped and could not wipe the smile off my face.
You turned that into a marathon, man. That's a lot of golf.
Yeah, it was a lot of golf, a lot of fun, and, it wasn't a bad weekend of golf either. So I felt pretty damn good. How was your weekend?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. Saturday I didn't golf. I went to Michigan State and I covered some of the state finals that were going on there for high school. My my alma mater, Kennewa, was in their first state finals, so I really wanted to cover that one. They were up 4-0, but unfortunately Orchard Lake St. Mary came back and beat them 1-6-4. So that was tough. But
he's referring to the baseball.
Yes,
Everybody.
baseball.
He's
Yep.
referring to
Sorry.
baseball, yeah.
So yeah, we had a few games there. So did that on Saturday, but I did get to golf on Sunday. It was one of those ones where, you know, the rain obviously made it to you guys in the afternoon. It sounds like it was there in the morning for us, and our time was in the morning. So we were driving in the rain to the course, and it's just kind of like, are we making the right decision on this? But it went away. The area we picked by the lakeshore kind of was good because it seemed like it stayed under us for the most part for the rest of the day. So we were able to play our 18. That was like my Father's Day round, like I said, because next weekend this coming weekend now I have the Meyer LPGA Classic to work. So we always try to play golf either the weekend before or the weekend after. So we did that. I lost to my my future brother-in-law and his dad, but they play in a league together. They play all the time. No offense to my dad. I think we took 2 of his shots in the back. It's just the way it went. So but I feel like I played well, so I was happy with it in the end.
That's good. That's good. Probably a highlight of your dad's year, for crying out loud.
Yeah, no, the first hole, he hit about a 35-foot putt for birdie, and we went up 2 strokes with a birdie bogey, and I was like, all right, our day's made right there.
Yep.
That's all we
needed. And
needed.
everybody starts screaming, "Let's go!"
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes, it was. It was exciting.
Yeah. That's what I got from my son. A Saturday morning, I drained it was a pretty long putt for birdie, and he's like, "Let's go!" And I said, "Where are we going?"
I love it.
Let me get to the headlines real quick. Carolina finishes off Vegas. If you watched it last night, it was a smothering effort on the part of the Canes, 3-0 the final, their second ever Stanley Cup, and Brandon Bussey makes 22 saves. The Western Michigan Bronco with some major clutch plays throughout game 6 there. Jordan Stahl had 8 goals, 4 assists in the playoffs. He wins the Conn Smythe. He is the oldest, the oldest to ever win the Conn Smythe or the MVP at the age of 37 and 277 days. Who was the previous oldest player to win the Conn Smythe or MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs? They take the entire playoffs into account, not just the finals. It was Tim Thomas.
Yeah, wouldn't have
the
guessed
Boston
that.
Bruins. 37 years, 61 days. Remember, he played for the Detroit Vipers of the International Hockey League. The reason I know that is because I called those games. Carolina needed 19 games. They went 16-3, 19 games to get through it all. That is the second fewest ever. The Edmonton Oilers in 1988 lost just twice and are out to a Stanley Cup, led by Wayne Gretzky.
It felt like Carolina's had the talent for, a while, and they just haven't been able to put it all together. And this playoffs, they definitely did. That's for sure.
Yeah, they didn't put it all together in the playoffs. Rod Brind'Amour has done an unbelievable job. You noticed how much those players respect him, admire his work ethic, both in the weight room and as a head coach. So they all speak glowingly of them. Here's the scary part for the NHL. And look, it's so damn hard to repeat, right? Although Florida just did it. They've got everybody back except for, I think Niskanen is a unrestricted or a restricted free agent. They're between 10 and 15 million under the cap, and they've got everybody coming back. That must feel like a pretty good.
Yeah, they got to feel good about it right now.
Yeah, they got to feel really good about it. Rod Brind'Amour is such a good coach. He becomes the 4th ever to win a cup as a captain of the same team he wins as a head coach. All right. The last time the Hurricanes lost back-to-back games was January 13th. That's how good they have been.
That doesn't
January
seem real.
13th.
That's crazy.
How many times do you think the Red Wings lost at least 2 in a row since January 13th?
I guess like 6 or 7. Probably.
7 times. Yep. 7 times. Here's your Stanley Cup champions by year. You ready? In 2020 and 2021, Tampa won back-to-back. 2023, Vegas won. 2024, 2025, Florida won. Carolina wins this year. Common denominator? They're all warm weather states. It's crazy. Jacob Slavin joins an elite group. We'll get to that when we come back. And we'll continue with some headlines and get your thoughts. Rest versus rust and a whole lot more. All that coming up here as we get things rolling this week on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lineswell.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com. Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Oh, exactly. Like, it's sticking with it. We knew what we had here, and I did for sure, and the guys believed in it. That's the thing. It's all about leadership. I'm so happy for Jordan Staal. People got to see what I've known for forever, what kind of player he is, what kind of leader he is, and, I mean, here we go. He's finally rewarded.
Into more on the ice in the celebration. I don't know. Was that via ESPN, Andy?
Yeah, it was.
I saw an interview with him with Scott Van Pelt, who does a great job. It was very emotional, and it was very real. Awesome stuff. It really was. I wish they would have interviewed Jacob Slavin, because Jacob Slavin, who won gold with Team USA, now joins Flint native Ken Morrow, 1980, as the only American players to win Olympic gold and Stanley Cup in the same year. Olympic gold medal, Stanley Cup champion, same year. Two guys, Jacob Slavin and Ken Morrow.
Gonna be hard to top that one ever.
Yeah, it really is. And think of this. Over the past 30 years, there are only 5 teams that have won 3 or more championships in hockey. Over the last 30 years, 5 teams have won 3 or more cups. Colorado, Detroit, Tampa, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. Pretty selective, right?
Yeah,
Tigers and Guardians, their series was postponed because of the nasty weather, although I saw pictures from Cleveland, Andy, that sure looked like they could have played.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, the weather was definitely moving in a weird way yesterday. I'm sure they saw something come in the radar that probably broke up or whatever, but it's always the worst when that happens.
Yeah, Tigers are sitting now 9.5 back in the division. I don't know if you saw that the White Sox beat the Dodgers. They're up 6-2, ended up holding on 6-4. Packed, absolute pack in south side of Chicago. But Tigers 9.5 back in the division. They're in Houston for a 3-game set starting tonight. Troy Melton gets the call in the opener. Astros lost 4-0 to the Royals last night. They're 7 games under 500. Of course, I say they're 7 games under 500. Like that's, hey, this is a possibility. Sure, it's a possibility. They're saying the same damn thing in Houston. As bad as we are, like Houston radio, let's open the phone lines. The Meyer hotline 866-838-4843. Folks, granted, we are 7 games under 500, 3 games under the break even at home. So it's not looking good. Yeah, but we have the Tigers coming to town. And the Tigers are one of the most disappointing teams in all of baseball. They're 13 games under 500. That's the story right there. Here's another good story. 19-year-old Yana Wilson and Gina Kim win the Dow Championship in Midland. Together, they carded a 62 Sunday, finished 17 under par, 2 shots clear of the field. First win for both women. The interesting thing here is they both credited the Epson Tour that is up in Bay Harbor this week. So keep that in mind. Bud Cauley drains 3 birdies in a 4-hole span on the back 9. He claims the RBC Canadian Open, his first on the PGA Tour. He shot a 5 under 65 to close the weekend at 17 under par, 2 better than the field. Folks, he went 238 tournaments it's his first win. So he needed 200, and this would be his 239th tournament before he earned his first win on the PGA Tour. That's 15 years. That's a lot of grinding, man.
Yeah, that's dedication.
That is the 5th longest stretch since 1983. Remember, he's the guy who was in a car accident, had a broken leg, had broken ribs, had a concussion, was bleeding internally. I think that was 2008. Afterwards, met his future wife, and he's trying to look at it as a positive, saying, you know what? The worst part of my life, the accident, then became the best part of my life, because that's how he met his wife. So it's pretty cool. It's a really
that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Oh, you didn't know that about him?
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a really uplifting story. We can get caught up all we want, Andy, in the negative side of sports. It's easy. People in San Antonio are pissed this morning, and for good reason, right?
Yeah.
Maybe people in Vegas are, although I doubt they expected to be there. It can happen easily to just dwell on the negative. What we're noticing and that's why I kind of started the show with, look at what we've experienced through this calendar year already in sports. The feel-good stories that we've talked about, right? Whether you like the Knicks or not, I don't. You win 52, 53 years of no championships. That's an awesome story.
It is, man. It really is.
The story of Jordan Staal is phenomenal. 20 years between cups, the oldest Conn Smythe winner. Fantastic stuff, right? Carolina winning at second. Rod Brindamore making some history. Jacob Slavin making history. There's a lot of really good anecdotes associated with certain sports that we've experienced, but a lot of it dwells on the negative. When you look at what Bud Cauley faced, I'm sorry, I said 2008. It was 2018. In June 2018, he was a passenger in a car, and he was hit and experienced, like I said, the broken leg. It was a collapsed lung is what he experienced. 6 broken ribs and a concussion. Put him in an ambulance, fluid in his lungs, all kinds of issues. Golf wasn't even on his mind. He had to recover first and foremost. And then he met his future wife through a mutual friend. So it's kind of cool. All right. She was, the funny thing is, she used to work for a company that was founded by Tiger Woods. So there you go. That's the kind of the
what are the odds of that? Wow.
Yeah. Without getting too deep into it, there are certain things in life, but especially in sports that you and I dwell on, that are just so ironic and so cool. I had to share it with you in case you missed it. Don't forget, 8:18. We've got Hero and Heel. Here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day: which player should the Pistons trade for? Trey Murphy III, yes. Kyrie Irving, Max Strus, or Kawhi Leonard? Vote as often as you'd like. We'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour.
Feels like I kept seeing, I mean, obviously it doesn't mean anything is actually real, but it feels like I kept seeing Trey Murphy's name everywhere this weekend for who the Pistons should be going for.
Yeah, well, remember during the trade deadline, that's the guy we wanted. So
right. Yeah.
we that's the player we thought would fit the Pistons better than perhaps just about anybody else in basketball. Realistically, okay, I know. Shep, I want Victor Wembanyama. Well, no kidding. Thanks, Sherlock. Everybody does. All right. Although after the championship series, some people start to wonder, because people, that's what they do. They just nitpick.
Yeah.
So anyway, vote as often as you want. I did notice this. I was looking this up on Sunday in anticipation of you and I talking about the Tigers, and then of course it was postponed. I was looking up defensive runs saved. All right, in baseball, which I think is an important statistic defensively. Outs above average, defensive run saved. Don't look at team errors and all that other stuff. I mean, sure, it's part of it, but defensive run saved is the most important, or one of what I would consider one of the most important. And I would consider that along with, as I mentioned, outs above average. If you look at defensive run saved, all right, so we're going to play a little game here, Andy. Detroit, I'm going to give it to you, 28th. They ranked 28th going into Sunday. Defensive run saves as a team, they ranked 28th.
Not good.
Only the Twins and Phillies are worse. Okay, the Phillies are by far the worst for a team overall. Okay, if I said to you plus or minus defensive run saves, pitchers. Is Detroit a plus or a minus?
Like their pitchers are playing good defense? Is that the?
Yeah, that's. I mean,
I'm gonna guess a minus.
Okay, they are a minus. They're a -4. Catchers, defensive run saves, plus or a minus?
Plus?
Yeah, they're a plus. They're a plus.
That seems
3.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a +3. First baseman, plus or a minus?
Minus.
-9.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that bad.
This is according to the Fielding Bible, Sports Information Solutions, which I am a member. So they bring this up. So -9 at first base. We'll get to the other positions on the other side, and then we're going to talk about rest versus rust and the team that beat the team couldn't beat the champions. We'll get to all that coming up here on X's and Bros on a Monday morning, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth. Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3?
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
with you here on X's and Bros. Let me just finish real quick, and then we'll get to a little bit more hockey and a little bit rest versus rust. The team that beat the team but couldn't win the championship. We'll get to all that coming up. I was talking just before the break. Sports Information Solution tracks a lot of different things. They're the ones that come up with the Fielding Bible. A couple of years ago, Riley Green won the Fielding Bible, even though he didn't win the Gold Glove. Stephen Kwan won the Gold Glove. The Gold Glove is voted on by baseball writers, I believe, and the Fielding Bible takes into account all the numbers. I know. I mean, sometimes you shake your head a little bit. I get it. But if we're going to start using numbers for everything, look, I hate to tell you this, before analytics, you and I use numbers all the time. We used batting average. We used home runs. We used RBIs. It's not as advanced, but it's still using numbers. So anyway, I was looking at the defensive run saves numbers the other day. I know it's very geeky, but I can't help it. Tigers a -4 off the bump, a +3 behind the dish, a -9 among first basemen. If you're looking for the worst fielding defensive run saves, anyway, first baseman, you've got it in Detroit and Tampa. They are both a -9. But Tampa as a team overall is 6th, has the 6th best defensive run saves. So then you move to second base. Is it a minus or a plus at second base?
Minus.
It's a -1.
I mean, they had some when Glaber was out, it was not great.
Well, he's even when he's in, it's not great. I hate to tell you that, but he's not a
no,
great
he doesn't have great
baseman.
range.
Shortstop and third base. They're both pluses. They're +1. Stunned the hell out of me. When I see a +1 at third base, I'm stunned. Left field. This is Riley Green. It's a minus, which surprises me too. -6. Center field with no Parker Meadows. They're a minus. They're a -9. And in right field, plus or minus?
Minus.
It's a -11.
Yeah, I was going to say that was my guess for the worst one.
Okay. So that's how bad it is right now.
It's first base is left field is definitely surprising me too. I did not think Riley Green was in the minus, but I don't remember Torkelson making like horrible plays this year. So I'm just trying to think of
that's not what it's about though.
Yeah, it's like
what it's about is are you for the most part, are you getting to balls that you should be getting to, or most first basemen would get to, and making the proper play.
And that's what people don't think about, and that must be what he's not doing enough of. So
yeah. So Detroit as a team is a -20. All right, -20. The Twins are -25. The Phillies are -27. Those are the lowest 3 teams in baseball for defensive run saves. And the reason, here's the reason I bring it up. The reason I bring it up is because we hear all the time defense wins championships. I'm not disputing that. The Knicks played incredible defense, did they not? Were the Knicks not fantastic,
they were great, man,
defensively? Yeah.
Every time they fell down, they just held them in check and came back.
Yeah. I mean, there are times you're like that first half of what was it, game 4,
gosh, man.
Right? But second half they were fantastic, right? Okay. I would say the same thing about the Carolina Hurricanes. Defensively, were they not incredible last night?
They were, yeah. I was going to say last night especially, yeah.
So are you one of those people who believe that defensive run saves or defense can help you win a championship?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so if you believe that, then I think this is worth at least noting. I'm not asking you to have everything. I'm just asking you to take a look at this and make sure this is this is a factor. Okay. Detroit a year ago was a +36. According to Fangraphs, they were a +36. The Dodgers, who won it all, were a +67. Okay. It gives you an idea. Toronto was a plus 51 a year ago. I'm not saying what Detroit was doing was bad, because overall, according to Fangraphs, they were good. The teams that were the worst, Colorado was a minus 59 last year. The Chicago White Sox were a minus 32 a year ago. Part of the reason that they were so bad last season. This year, they're a plus 6. It's not a massive number, but it's a massive improvement. So I do think it's one of those statistics where it is important. So defense, I think, that's why I was concerned about this year. I was concerned about their defense. All right. I was concerned about their power last year. I was concerned about their defense and their power this year. And considering, and I saw this over the weekend, Tigers starting pitchers have allowed 4 runs or less in 19 straight starts beginning May 24th. That's the longest streak in the AL. That's starters now. 19 consecutive starts. 4 runs or fewer. Second longest streak in the majors, only behind the Reds at 22. I got to look up the Reds yesterday. How did the Reds, were the Reds able to do that again yesterday? Let's look this up real quick. Who did the Reds play yesterday? I don't have Kansas City, or I don't have, since they played Arizona, and their starting pitcher allowed 1 earned run. So it is 23 straight starts for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, what does that mean? Not a whole lot. They're 33 up and 37 down. So maybe it doesn't mean a whole lot. But it could be another reason why you and I bitch and moan that the starters don't go longer. Doing a really good job, so why not? All right, let me dive into this. I want your thoughts on this. It's the rest versus rust argument. You can use examples in a lot of different things. The Tigers in 2006 had the rest, but they sure looked rusty, didn't they? You damn right they did. Who had the most rest in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs?
It'd be
the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks did.
Yeah.
And they won 13 straight games, man. And the Carolina Hurricanes, they won their first 8 games.
Yeah.
So they both had, and remember, Carolina was behind Vegas. Vegas won game 1 in Carolina. So maybe the rest versus rust isn't so relevant. At least we're using recent examples. Here's the one I really want to talk about. 2 things. First of all, the road stuff is just absolute horse crap. I mean, I just can't stand it, because it just, we all like to think we make a difference. And I'm not saying you don't. Every player will, every coach and manager and player will tell you it's better at home, and that you do help them in a number of different ways. Remember, they're also trying to, gain some favoritism with their fan base. But overall, I mean, if you're looking at this, I mean, who won game 7 between the Pistons and the Cavs? You don't think LCA was rocking? You don't think people there were crazy? You don't think that was an intimidating sight? Absolutely. And the Cleveland dusted them. The Knicks handled Cleveland without any problem in Cleveland. That's the series where Taylor Swift was courtside rooting against the Knicks until they got to the finals, and then she was rooting for the Knicks. Yeah. Thanks for the phonyism. So the clinching stuff, or the playing in front of home fans and everything, I just think it's minimal. There's a minimal effect. I don't know who has the most advantage in a home ice court field situation. I think I read something where I think it was the NHL had the home team had the highest winning percentage compared to the other leagues. Maybe that's because they get the last line change. Baseball, you get your last at bats. Other than that, I don't see how it's a huge factor. But beating the team that was the team is, I think, the more appropriate way of talking about these 2 champions that have now left us nothing but baseball, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because I love baseball, but the way this team is playing, maybe not so much. A friend of mine texted me yesterday. Oh, great. Now Carolina wins. All we have left is Tigers baseball and the College World Series. I laughed at that, but my immediate thought was, well, Go watch some golf. The U.S. Open is taking place at Shinnecock this weekend. I'm selfishly, I wanted more basketball. I wanted more hockey. Yeah. I would have loved to see a Game 7 at Carolina. I would have loved to have seen San Antonio, clean themselves off and find a way to win a game.
Absolutely. I didn't want to
both
see
those teams. I want you to think about this for a second. Both in hockey and basketball, going into the Stanley Cup playoffs, the overwhelming favorite was the Colorado Avalanche. And Vegas beat them in 4 straight. Vegas beat the team, but couldn't beat the champion. Vegas beat Colorado, but they couldn't beat Carolina. San Antonio beat the team, OKC, right? That was the by far hands-on favorite. They've got the pedigree. This is what we're always told. You've got to learn. You've got to experience heartache. You've got to stumble and struggle before you can actually, win a championship. You got to walk before you can run. You got to crawl before you can walk. All those cliches. That's what people kept telling us. Just out of curiosity, where was New York's? Where was their championship experience that came into play so much in that series? Don't give me the Brunson and Bridges and Hart won a national championship at Villanova. Okay? Because that's not how it's crafted in the argument. Okay? I think it's, I'm not saying it's not important, but I sure don't think it's the be-all, end-all. New York wasn't supposed to be in that. It was supposed to be the Spurs. The West was best. That was shoved down our throat all year long. OKC, give me the ranking going into the playoffs, if you recall. Give us the ranking of the 5 best teams. These are the little games that are played on the 4-letter network. And for good reason, they got to fill time, right? So who is it? Well, it's OKC, it's San Antonio, it's Denver, then it's Boston, and then it's Minnesota. That's what we were told. There was no Knicks. There was no Pistons. The reason I remember this is because you and I were talking about this, feeling like Detroit was slighted because they won 60 games.
Yep.
And how could they not be part of it? People didn't buy in. Well, they were right. We were wrong.
I mean, a lot of people were saying if, like, at least around here, I feel like if people were saying, well, if the Pistons would have made it, they could have beat the Knicks. Like, it wouldn't have been impossible for that to happen. Like, a lot of people said that.
Yeah, well, we don't know that. Things change, don't they?
Right, yeah.
Things change a lot when it comes to the playoffs.
It sure
Just
did.
because you won during the regular season, which San Antonio did as well. San Antonio did that against OKC, and it came to fruition. But it's not always the case in the playoffs. So you got to be careful with that analogy because the game is played so much differently. And that makes me start to think a little bit more. How much should I really buy into the regular season? Like 2026 is a good example of this. You and I moving forward next year, you and I are talking about this. I think this and I think that based on what? The regular season. Well, didn't last year prove just the opposite in the regular season? Maybe, maybe not. Are we going to remember that? Does it diminish the regular season? Well, that's up to you as the individual. But here's what we do know. We were constantly told that the better team was the San Antonio Spurs. They've got the freak. They've got the defense. They've got the pedigree, at least from an organizational standpoint, because New York hadn't won one in 52, 53 years, right? They always let you down. Oh, and by the way, this little nugget, you can't win with a small guard. Oops. That's a freezing old take. And a wrong one. And something that you and I brought up and said could not have been more wrong because it's just Neanderthal thinking. You're forgetting about some of the other really good small guards. And perhaps this finals made you appreciate Jalen Brunson even that much more. Not just because of how good of a player he is, but because of the type of guy he is. The emotion he showed after winning a championship was as normal as it gets. It made me think of the promo for the Stanley Cup. Leading into the Stanley Cup playoffs, there's the ESPN and ABC ran it. It's beautifully done. It's the interviews with all the people who have won the Stanley Cup, not all of them, but captains who have won the Stanley Cup, or moments. What's this like? And they can't explain it. They can't find the words. It's been something they've wanted for their entire lives. They've dreamed about it forever. In other words, you've thought about that. You can't dream without thinking about it. And then when you do finally get it, you can't explain it. That's how Jalen Brunson was. And his embrace of his father and his mom and his wife, it was touching to me.
Yeah, when he talks about it, when they asked him about his dad, that was the one for sure. For me, that was crazy.
Yeah, I like that guy so much. I think he's not just because he's a really good player. He seems like the kind of person you want in your locker room. He seems like the kind of person you want representing your organization in your city, not the ones burning up buses and police cars and taxi cabs. Are they going to make that big of a deal over that? Because Detroit had to wear that label forever and still does. They know how to celebrate championships in Detroit. Don't you remember they burned a cab? I said that was 1984. It was once. I said we've had a lot of championships since then. I got in a big debate with a guy in Atlanta one time. I was calling a Pistons-Hawks game. I was in the media room. I got done eating, and these guys were talking about championships, and they said, better hope Detroit doesn't win it. This is when, the Richard Hamilton glory days, right? Better hope Detroit doesn't win it. And I literally stopped. I said, why is that? He said, because they don't know how to celebrate championships. They burn everything down. I said, you're referring to 1984. I said, since then, the Red Wings, and I just reeled off all the championships that the state of Michigan has celebrated. Are they going to, and then I brought up examples of what has happened before in other parts of the world and how they handle it. New York wins at home in game 4, and 60 people are injured.
Calling Detroit out for that has got to be one of the craziest takes I've ever heard.
People are stabbed, people are beat up. It's crazy. 60 people injured. People are arrested for that. And then after they went on the road, they are lighting school buses on fire. Don't tell us, don't ever preach to us that we don't know how to celebrate titles. It's an absolute farce. However, that said, it is truly one of the better champions we've seen in a while. So we'll get to that. Plus Carolina and what they did as a champion. We'll get to that coming up too. All that coming up on X's and Bros. Plus Mitch Lyons at 7:18 Mondays with Mitch, and Chris Solari 8:35 with us here on a Monday morning throughout the state of Michigan.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Our worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, the season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, PLAN, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
I look at the whole year and just, the word that comes to my mind is grateful. Grateful for the opportunity to win a gold medal, to represent Christ on a world stage, and now with the cup, represent him on the biggest stage of hockey with the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so it's amazing to win those things there. It's rewarding, but at the end of the day, it's not where my joy is found. And so this is amazing.
Jacob Slavin, who joins now Ken Morrow as the only American-born players to ever win the Stanley Cup and an Olympic gold medal in the same year. He does it with Carolina last night thanks to a 3-0 win. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Really good stuff. Always appreciate it. By the way, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine Saturday night. We all went out to dinner. And I don't know about you, Andy, but we pair off. So it's, we had 3 couples. So it was the 3 guys and the 3 girls. 3 girls down here are talking about whatever. But the guys eventually, what happens is we turn to sports. So we're talking about sports. What's your take on the Larkin thing? What about this and what about that? Tarek Skubal comes up. And Tarek Skubal had lost. Tigers lost 3-1. Skubal gave up the 3 runs. I don't think they lost because of him by any stretch. He was limited. We all know that. And you knew he was going to be limited when he came back anyway. There's no sense in pushing him 8 innings.
You mean scoring 1 run isn't enough to win a baseball game?
Believe it or not. I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, holy crap, how is that possible? Well, I know it's true. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to score like Colorado did, a franchise record 23 runs. But Seattle's a good team, right? They only scored a run, and they lost to Washington 10-1. You're not finding many 1-0 shutout wins on the slate. Cubs scored a run yesterday against San Francisco, and they lost. Philly couldn't score any runs, and they lost. Obvious. So I know that you may find it hard to believe, but it's true. But my one good friend says to me, he goes, I'm just glad we got Skubal back because he's a horse. Now, I have to be careful because sometimes I debate things just for the sake of debating, and it really doesn't make any sense. But that word to me in baseball constitutes somebody who goes deep into games, deep into seasons, and pitches a lot. We all define it differently. So that's why I asked him right away, well, what do you mean by a horse? He's like, well, he's their number one. I said, okay, he's an ace. But the term horse used to be used. That's the key phrase, used to be used for and designated for guys who went deep into games. Hi, Sandy Koufax. Hi, Nolan Ryan. Hi, Mickey Lolich, right? Hi, Bob Gibson, back in the day, right? Maybe, so I ask you this, a guy who has never thrown more than 1 complete game in a career, Tarek Skubal, a guy who has never thrown 200 innings in a season, Tarek Skubal, are they considered a horse, or is that today's definition of a horse?
Yeah, I mean,
Justin Verlander used to be one, right? He threw over 200 innings, and I think that's usually the lowest bar. I'm not asking you to throw 300 like Mickey Lolich, but 200 should be at least a bar for a guy who's going to be labeled a horse. Tell me if I'm wrong here.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
So Tarek Skubal's never thrown more than 195 in the third innings in a single season. At least Justin Verlander threw 200 innings or more 7 times in his career. He's got 26 complete games. I know it's been a long career. 26 doesn't seem like a lot considering Bob Gibson had 26, 28 in a single season, for crying out loud.
Yes.
But standards change. So I'm asking for some help here. I need some help when it comes to what is defined as a horse in today's day and age. Because if it's complete games, Framber Valdez threw more last year, complete games, than Tarek Skubal did in his entire career. So what exactly is the definition of a horse in your mind?
I don't know. Even if it wasn't complete games, this is just from when I started growing up and watching baseball. I guess when you mentioned Justin Verlander, I thought about it because he went like 7-8 innings into a game almost, I feel like, every time that he started. I don't know if it's actually true because I was younger, but that's what it felt like every single time that he came into the game. That's why I feel like I wanted to watch him like every time he pitched, right? Because you feel like he was, I don't know, you always feel like he was going to go deeper and deeper into the game. That's just what it felt like. So I had never really gotten that feeling with Tarek though, because it always just seemed like there's like a pitch count all the time, right? Like they're just keeping track of how long he can go into the game, I guess. Because when he's at that number, they're not going to let him go past it because
how much
they don't
of
want him
that,
to get hurt.
How much of that, by the way, just for clarification's sake, Justin Verlander 11 times, 200 innings or more. 11. I think I said 7. 11.
11.
But how much of that has to do with today's technology?
When
you feel like you're always measuring the number of pitches thrown by Tarek Skubal, I think you're right about that. But I'm asking how much of that has to do with the fact that we've got the score bug on our screens and we're watching every single game and we're also noticing the pitch count every time he throws one.
It's definitely about today, but that's the difference. Like I remember it used to be, you'd watch Verlander go to like 110, 120. Like it started to matter once he got like really, really far up there. But with Skubal, the whole time I've been watching him, it feels like it's like anytime he gets near 80, 90 pitches, you're like, oh, okay, he's not going to, they might give him the rest of this inning, but then he's going to be done after that. And to me, that it's not, maybe some of it isn't his fault. I don't know, but that is what, makes it tough to call him a horse. I agree with that.
I think you're right about that. I think it's a good observation. The other thing is that after 7 innings, that camera follows the pitcher. So you'll hear, the director follow the pitcher and they'll be following him. And then you're looking for the handshake. That could be it for
right.
Then the speculation begins. I mean, that's just today's baseball, unfortunately. This is not a knock on Tarek Skubal. I think he's incredible. I do. There are other pitchers that we should be taking note of. Christopher Sanchez in Philadelphia, Jake Morosky in Milwaukee, Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh, although he gave up a first inning changeup home run, the first of his career the other day. I do believe there are more and more pitchers starting to join that proverbial elite power class party. But I'm trying to weigh the definition of what a horse truly is. And I think it's got to be it's got to be defined differently today than it has in the past. Right. And to me, it's a sacred is probably too much of a big word there. But I do believe, I think it's really important that you figure that out, because that's for the best of the best. That's for the elite of all elite. Are you a guy who can give your team that? Look, let me ask you this real quick. Lefty to lefty. Who has more innings thrown in a single season in their career, Christopher Sanchez or Tarek Skubal?
I'd probably say Christopher Sanchez.
Christopher Sanchez last year threw 202 innings. Again, it's not a huge deal. I'm just saying that's more than Tarek Skubal ever threw in a single season. And here's the difference. Big difference is because Tarek Skubal strikes out a lot of guys. That means you're throwing more pitches. So I understand it's not I think people will look at it like it's a knock on Skubal. I don't mean it to sound that way, because I want him on the bump all the time. I think he's phenomenal. But when people try to tell me about horses and aces and all this other stuff, and he is an ace, there's no doubt about that. But when people start to tell me about those things, I'm thinking to myself, dude, I mean, where are we at?
I mean, yeah, most games when Skubal pitches, you're still going to have to use your bullpen. That's just the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't think Framber Valdez, would you consider him a horse? He's thrown over 200 innings in his career. In fact, Framber Valdez, twice in his career, in 2022 and 2023, threw more innings than Tarek Skubal ever has in a single season. Does that make him a horse? Complete games, he had 2, as I mentioned a year ago. More than Skubal has had in his entire career, to 1. Does that make him a horse? I'm just asking for definition's sake. That's all. It is a Monday, and that means we're always Mondays with Mitch. 7:18, Mitch Lyons. Mitch Lyons-Wolf joins us on the other side. The former NFL tight end gives us his thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals, on the NBA Finals, on Skubal, and more. Stay with us. That's next here on X's and Bros, brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick Six meal for two. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/driveoutparkinsons to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and BrO's and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/driveoutparkinsons or contact me at mitchlyonswealth.com for more info.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
After the hour, welcome back on a Monday here on X's and BrO's. I was talking with my best friend who lives down in Georgia the other day. He's worked for a lot of different companies. He's like, man, I got a bunch of 401ks I got to consolidate. I'm like, dude, you got to make a plan. Seriously. I mean, it's great that you've had a lot of jobs and they've been good jobs and stuff, but you got to develop a plan, because your hope is not just a retirement plan. That's not how it works in the real world. He's like, I know, I got to do this. The reason I thought of that, because he and I talk about a lot of different stuff. The reason I thought about that is because Mitch Lyons Wealth. You can discuss your situation, get a game plan. You know, if you and I sit there and bitch about Dan Campbell's game plan against the Vikings, who beat him twice last year, which makes no sense. Should we not be taking our own house in order and understanding that, you know, if you need a game plan, you got to go to Mitch Lyons Wealth? He joins us here on this Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend, my friend. Father's Day week for you. Yep. What are you hoping for?
I got a
Father's Day.
Little bit of an early start. I got a little early start this year. I got the whole family down to Asheville, North Carolina, Wednesday through yesterday. It was amazing. Get everybody under one roof for an extended period of time. Stayed at an amazing place. I had 3-hole golf course on the property, a simulator. So we got a lot of swings in this week. I'm ready for Father's Day weekend now.
I hope you're ready for Watermark at the end of the month too, because you and I are going to be paired up with some good golfers too. So I'm excited. That's Monday, June 29th, Watermark Country Club in Grand Rapids. It's the Grady Parkinson's Promise. So we want to drive out Parkinson's. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. So you're getting your game in tune, right?
We are. Yeah, we're going to have a great time, Shep. This is a great event. It's the first annual. And, you know, we've supported Gibby's Foundation, and actually this event will help support Gibby's center down in Farmington Hills as well. A portion of the proceeds are going there, but the bulk of the proceeds are staying right in West Michigan to help folks with Parkinson's in the West Michigan community. The Grady's Parkinson's Promise presenting the Drive Out Parkinson's golf event. Really fired up to be part of it. Mitch Lyons Wealth is, you know, title sponsor on it. We're really excited to be part of it and get this thing going.
Yeah, you should be. So good for you. That doesn't surprise us because of all the things that you support in Grand Rapids and the surrounding areas too. NBA had 8 straight years of a different champion. Rank the Knicks on the list of champions over the last 8 years.
Yeah, well, number one, I'll say it's kind of cool to see that. You know, it's not just the Warriors winning every year, or, you know, back in the day with the Lakers, Celtics, Pistons, whatever, Bulls. It's you got a chance, and every team can go into the year. And I heard you talking earlier about all the topsy-turvy stuff in sports. Hey, the White Sox are on top. Anything can happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so that gives you hope. But as far as where they rank, boy, as far as the run they made, I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Just absolutely destroying pretty much every foe in their way, 13 straight, and just amazing. And as I come back in Game 5 was obviously epic, and I'd have to put them right up there. It's hard to, you know, compare. I'd say over this 8-year stretch, I'd say they had the most dominant performance. You know, do they win going straight up with some of those other teams? Who knows? That's great for talk radio, right? But one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen. And Jalen Brunson is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I would say that the epic comeback in Game 4 when they're down 29, 20 in the fourth quarter. Was one of those more epic moments too. How do you, as an athlete yourself who played in the National Football League, how do you look at this? Do you look at a Knicks team that has been down in just about every game that they won, they were down double digits, proving that they can come back? Or do you look at it like, man, this is a team that it takes a while for them to get right because they were down double digits in every game they won?
Yeah, I don't know how they get in that position, but they certainly aren't uncomfortable in that position, and that says a lot to their mental fortitude. And you know, having done it a few times, once you've done it a time or two, you know it's possible. So you've got that belief, right? And it's hard to get to that point, and it's really hard to build that faith unless you actually do it. And they've clearly done it. I mean, coming back from 29 down, I said Game 5, but I meant Game 4. Thanks for correcting that. But yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. And to go into that locker room down 27. And to you know, a lot of teams are just going to mail that in, Shep. Hey, it's not our night. We'll get them the next game. And to battle back and to do that and just rip the heart out of the Spurs. I mean, that, you know, conversely on the other side, you know, geez, how do you recover from that one, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
tough. And but yeah, the Knicks really, really solid team. And again, Jalen Brunson is the straw that stirs the drink, and just an epic performance by him in that last game. They really throughout the playoffs, but especially the last game.
Yeah, you were right about Game 5 because they had to come from 14 down in that. So you're not wrong about either one of those. But I hear what you're saying. Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth joining us here on X's and Bros. It's Mondays with Mitch, the former National Football League tight end. Follow him, MitchLyonsWealth.com, 866-85-STALE. Sign up for the free newsletter. Get your help with his book and the streaming code for the documentary that he's involved with. And if you want, they've got people to protect you right now from any of those bad guys out there, right? Get their Roth blueprint offer. Call and speak with one of the pros at MitchLyonsWealth.com. See if a Roth conversion makes a lot of sense to you. I know as a proud Spartan, Rod Brindamore holds a place in your heart because he truly is one of the greatest players to ever play at Michigan State, even though he only played a year. He was a man amongst boys. Ron Mason told me that one of the first times I ever interviewed Ron Mason. Rod Brindamore leads the Carolina Hurricanes as a coach to a Stanley Cup title. So he's the fourth captain of a coach or captain of a team and head coach of that same team to win a cup. And Jordan Staal at age 37, 277 days, is the oldest to ever win the Conn Smythe. How much of a feel-good story is Carolina taking care of business against Las Vegas?
Well, it is. And yeah, Brindamore, he was a freshman out at Michigan State, same year as me, and only played the 1 year and obviously had a pretty illustrious career himself. And then to come right back and coach the same team you played for is pretty cool. And they did it in dominant fashion, man. They, 3-0 on the road, just smothered them. And, I'm happy for him. And certainly, it's a great performance. And, man, let's hope that, maybe our wings can catch some of that mojo as well and get things turned in the right direction. But that's a pretty good recipe right there, how the Canes did it.
So we bring up your alma mater and Rod Brindamore's alma mater. What's your level of concern there in East Lansing, losing the school president to Clemson? Kentucky now has identified your athletic director, Jay Batt, as their number one choice to try and bring him back to the SEC. What do you make of the drama that is taking place?
It's just thoroughly disappointing. It's a dumpster fire. It has been for the last, really 10 years since the news that Larry Nassar broke. And we can't seem to get out of our own way. It's just over and over. And I mean, who, and somebody will take this job, Shep, but as far as president goes, but it's not exactly a high profile spot, the way, with the news cycle. There's not a lot of good news. I mean, there's great things going on campus at Michigan State University, and that's the sad thing. It gets lost behind all this. But this drama amongst the board members and the president, and I mean, it's a tough place to recruit to. And honestly, if Jay Batt left, I can't blame the guy. I mean, he didn't come in to deal with this nonsense, and I feel really bad for Tom Izzo. He's towards the end of his career, obviously, and he's got to be dealing with this stuff. You got a new football coach that he didn't sign up to be part of this thing. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, not just that, but I mean, Pat Fitzgerald's hired by Jay Batt. Jay Batt leaves. How does that make Pat Fitzgerald feel? And I don't care. Not that student athletes go there because of the school president and athletic director, but look, there's a vibe, there's a feel, there's a reputation that is being built. I mean, my daughter just graduated from there. She loved it there and still will and always will love it. But even she looked at me the other day. She goes, "Dad, did you see now we might lose our athletic director?" I mean, she's not distraught, but she's pissed. I mean, this has got to get fixed. Is it the Board of Regents? Is it mismanagement of people in administration in general? I don't know if you can pinpoint one thing, but what the hell is it?
Well, I don't think everyone's pulling on the same end of the rope on the Board of Trustees. That's a big part of it. You got infighting going on there. It seems like nonstop. And, it's just instability at its finest. And it's really hard to build anything when you're not, it all rolls downhill, right? Yeah. Okay. When I was a kid, I knew who the president was. Didn't really know what the Board of Trustees even did back then. But,
right.
But I remember even then, back then when George Perlis was coach, there was infighting and, nonsense going on, political power struggles. And it's just, it detracts from what a great university it is. And I think it's egos. I think it's pride. And I think everybody should just put all that aside and do what's in the best interest of the institution.
Amen to that.
And really, I think we need guys like Izzo and you step up and call a spade and hopefully get people in line.
Yeah, he's always done that. That school has an awful lot of them, but we always ask a lot of you, but you always come through. Thanks for the time. Have a great week. Okay. Happy Father's Day to you, buddy.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Enjoy those kids. And I appreciate you, Shep. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Mitch Lyons, MitchLyonsWealth.com, joining us here on X's and Bros.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, 2 world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
So my poster reads, life begins when you understand living women matter more than potential babies. What is it? What do you mean? If it's potential baby, what is inside of you? It's a fetus? Is it living? How can it grow if it's not living? Actually, that's like saying if You actively deny science. How am I connected? Wait, what science did I deny? Okay, so let's look at some posters over here. You don't have to be. I need you to tell me what science. You just made an accusation that I denied science. What science did I deny? That it's a child inside of you. It is a homicellus being. I'm a homicellus. So when does a child in this or homicell, whatever you want to call it, when does this homicell or Jesus become ready? When it can sustain. My newborns aren't sustainable. You can't just have a newborn and they just like live on their own, right? Right. They're not sustainable. They need help and assistance to survive. So is a newborn not worthy of life? Is a newborn not worthy of life? I do have one thing to say to you. How is it that when my mom was in college 30 years ago, she was protesting the exact same thing that me and these wonderful other women and men on this side have been protesting? How is it? Why? Why?
Right. So we'll get one here, one in the first half hour of 8 o'clock, and I'd like to do them before Chris Solari, but hey, DraftKings Sports is live in every single state. That means here in Michigan, 2 teams left, 1 trophy every possession. Now that it shifts from basketball and hockey to baseball, where it's 1 trophy at the end of baseball's regular season. Maybe you're thinking about college baseball, 1 trophy for that. Either way, if you want to find a way to follow your favorite sport, what you do is you have one app, and that app is DraftKings Sports. It's all in the palm of your hand. Use the code HUGE. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards, guaranteed. That code is HUGE in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply, I should say. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio. This is a limited time offer.
And it's amazing. It's surreal. I still can't believe it's happened. I'd like to thank Mr. Dolan, Leon Rose, my entire staff, man. My entire staff was phenomenal. All the players. Just as importantly, I'd like to thank all the fans in New York because you guys are freaking great, man. You make this thing surreal. You're unbelievable.
That is Mike Brown. He's the head coach of the world champion New York Knicks. Something you'll never be able to take that away from him. There will be people who complain about Mike Brown. I've done it in the past. Who say he wasn't good enough. I said this when they got rid of Tom Thibodeau. How could you get rid of Tom Thibodeau and bring in Mike Brown? Sacramento Kings fired Mike Brown. But you know what? He shoved it all in our faces. He said, how do you like them apples? Whatever cliche you want. Good for him. Is this one of the better teams you've ever seen? Not to get too hyperbolic here. And I know how you feel about your Pistons teams. I do too. And I'm not suggesting it's, Golden State, this or that. This is what Mitch Lyons just told us this during Mondays with Mitch. This is one of the best teams we've seen in recent memory. How do you look at when you judge a team? What do they have to have for you to consider them one of the best you've ever seen? Do they have to be dominant, like the Pistons were against the Lakers in 1989? Do you have to face some adversity and come back like they did in 1990 because they lost a game to Portland? And then they ended up going into Portland and closing it out in Portland. Don't you remember? We're going to finish this at the crib. Thank you, Terry Porter. And then Detroit went in there and took care of business in all 3 games in the middle because it went 2-3-2 is how it went back then. What do you think?
It's
what is it that requires? See, here's the issue. If a team is down, and the Knicks they were down in all 4 games that they won. They were down by double digits. Okay. The Spurs won the 5 first quarters by a total of 57 points. They led by as many as 29 in game 4. And the Knicks just kept coming back. They erased double digits in all 5 games, winning 4 of those. 6-2 in the playoffs when they trailed by double digits. Is that just as impressive, if not more, than being a runaway winner? What does it take?
It's one of those things where you could dissect so many things, and if you were to just look at this from like how they played perspective, I mean, since the first series, like obviously they had they didn't do it as good in that series, but they've won so many games in a row and I mean, everybody said all year that the West was going to be the best, and the fact that they were able to do what they did in the finals and take them 5 games, you'd have a hard time arguing from that standpoint. What people are going to do though is they're going to look at it and say, well, the East still wasn't very good, and they're going to look at it like from that landscape, and then they're going to say the Spurs were a young team that was probably tired from playing OKC, and if that's going to be taken away from them, and that's not fair to me. I think what they did was as impressive as a lot of teams have done in a single season in NBA history when it comes to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was one of the more impressive runs that we look.
Trust me, I don't want to say that.
You want? I know you don't.
I'm not a Knicks fan, but like that. I mean, I don't know how you can take it.
But that means more because you're not a Knicks fan. What you just said means more.
Right. Exactly.
If it was just a Knicks fan, it would be more from the heart than it would be from the head. This is a team that won 13 straight games, hadn't lost in 46 days, finished things on the road the way you're supposed to. Okay. Dismantled a Cleveland team that many people thought was going to be challenging because of their bigs and their overall balance, and a team that beat Detroit that won 60
games. And it was never even close.
And it was never even close. This is a team that was heavy underdogs to San Antonio and handled the Spurs and had a pretty good blueprint at some points during the series of Victor Wembanyama. And then you get a player like Jalen Brunson, who led the finals with 22 points scored in clutch situations. The most points scored by any player in the finals, clutch points by any player in the finals in the last 15 years. The last was Dirk Nowitzki, who scored 26 in the 2011 finals. It's sometimes it can be difficult to remember everything in a series unless it's your team. If you remember game 1, Brunson got an offensive rebound, hit a corner 3 that gave the Knicks the lead for good with just under 2 minutes to go. It was a ridiculous shot. In game 2, he hit that tough fadeaway jumper to tie it in the final minute and made the game-winning free throws with 9.5 seconds left. In game 4, he had the 2 field goals for the Knicks just before Anunoby's game-winning tip-in because nobody else was scoring. And then in game 5, he had that final field goal that gave the Knicks the lead. Remember, he had that floater. So overall, the efficiency may not have necessarily been there. He was quite deserving of the MVP, and he got it. But he was a clutch performer. He almost outscored the rest of his team in game 5 with 45. There's only one other guard in the history of the NBA Finals to score 40 or more on the road in the NBA Finals than Jalen Brunson. The other was Michael Jordan. You can blame Mitch Johnson in San Antonio and certain things that they did or didn't do. Like how you just go one guy on Jalen Brunson when he's the only one scoring. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Losing a 29-point lead to any team is something that'll always be talked about. I mean, that's
always.
Yeah.
And the 29 points it's eye-popping. 20-point lead in the fourth quarter is the one that blows my mind.
Seriously, is nuts.
Okay. 20, you can build a 29-point lead and teams will chip away. I'm not saying you're wrong here because I think you're right. Okay. But I'm just saying when you have things like that at 29 points, we have experienced it before. We have seen teams come from massive comebacks. All right. I'm talking about regular season as well. When you have, like, I remember there was a game late 90s, Utah and Denver. Nuggets led 70-34 at one point. And the Jazz came all the way back and won by 4. All right. So the 29 points is one thing. The 20 points in the fourth quarter, I mean, you're looking up the clock. Let's just freeze it. There was a point in that game where you're thinking, if we just held on the ball and took a shot clock violation over and over and over again, we'd still win. So you're right. I think that's going to be talked about. The De'Aaron Fox attempted layup when all he had to deal was turn back, peel back, hold on to the basketball, and hope to get fouled was big. And by the way, as much as I appreciate what he has done for San Antonio overall this year, because he's been really good, or was really good, his fourth quarters less than stellar, right? For De'Aaron Fox is what I'm talking about. I mean, 3 for 15 in that final game. Nobody was great except for Jalen Brunson. The 45 points, 14 of 28 from the floor, simply amazing. How many other players scored double digits? There were 3 other players, all starters, but no one scored more than 14. Karl Anthony Towns, who I thought was severely underrated throughout the playoffs, only had 2 points, Andy. He had 10 rebounds, I think, but he only had 2 points. He was 1 for 7.
Yeah, not what you would have expected. That's for sure.
No, not at all. On the other hand, as much as everybody likes Victor Wembanyama, and I do too, I'd want him on my team every single day of the week, twice on Sunday. How good was he? 7 of 19? Look, he had a double-double, 19 and 14, but how effective was he? How clutch was he? Really wasn't. Jalen Brunson was simply spectacular. One of the better finals appearances you've ever seen. On top of that, the New York Knicks defense. They played 19 games in the playoffs. Like we were just talking about the 19 games that Carolina took to win the Stanley Cup. Second most since 87. The 88 Oilers had 2. They went 17-2, right? Or 16-2, whatever it is. As far as the Knicks were concerned, they were the best defensive team in the playoffs, allowing 104.5 points per 100 possessions over their 19 games. Okay. Is there some luck there? I don't know. I mean, opponents shot 21% from clutch threes. Is that luck or is that just really good defense? Did they come up with stops when they had to? Right. Meanwhile, Wembanyama and Dylan Harper were the best San Antonio had to offer. I was thinking about this after watching that game and thinking, as good as San Antonio was during the regular season, would you agree that they were fantastic? Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't win 62 games. You don't finish second in that tough West, just 2 games back of OKC, and not be pretty damn good. You don't go 33-8, the second most wins at home in the NBA, without being really good. Do you think think of all the things that front office is thinking about today to try and get over the hump because they know they've got the centerpiece? I like Stephon Castle. I like Vassell. I think they're good players. I like Harper. I don't know what they're missing. I don't care. I care more about the Pistons. But San Antonio right now is thinking the exact same stuff that Detroit is thinking. And Detroit didn't even get to the NBA Finals. How do we get over the proverbial hump? That's our Mitch Lineswell poll question, right? Who's the player you'd trade for? Would it be, Trey Murphy? Would it be Kyrie Irving? Would it be Max Strus? Would it be Kawhi Leonard? In San Antonio, they might be thinking the same thing. Maybe not in a trade, but a free agent. And they got there, and they got to the finals. But they weren't good enough to get past the Knicks, who did, I think, showed some of the toughest metal of any champion we've ever seen. I don't like talking about it because it's the New York Knicks. And as I've said numerous times in the past, I think it's one of the most overrated franchises in the history of sports, not just the NBA, but the history of sports. After doing what they just did to San Antonio, after battling the way they did in that series and coming back, is there another team that's shown you as much metal, internal and physical metal, as this New York Knicks team? Jalen Brunson is a superstar. Do they have any others? They have a stretch four that a lot of teams would like. The judgment people have, and I'm guilty of it, the judgment people have about stature of a player in a certain league. Amon-Ra St. Brown, not big enough. Try to convince defenses of that, right? Greg Maddux back in the day didn't have a strong arm. It's the reason he's a Hall of Famer. Okay? Mark Stone, he's not a real fast skater. No one would ever teach their kid how to skate that way. He's been pretty successful. Jalen Brunson, he's not big enough at 6'2". He's not big enough. He's bigger than you and me, Andy, but he's not big enough to be a star in the NBA. I mean, there are all kinds of freezing takes prior to the regular season, not the postseason, the regular season, about why you don't bet on this team, and some of them center around the point guard. You don't want to build a team around a guy like this. Is there any team in the National Basketball Association that wouldn't want that dude on his team? A guy that Dallas didn't want. At one point, Dallas had Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic. They don't have either one of them now. Think about that.
Yeah, wow.
Isn't that crazy? Neither one were deemed good enough for their team. We're going to trade Brunson. They basically got rid of him. He can't play. And they traded Luka Doncic. Go ahead. Fire away with the text.
Oh, yeah, I got a text here on this topic. They'd say, or this is an unnamed texter, said, I'd argue the Spurs are the better team. New York didn't have the Spurs down 15 and 25 plus multiple games. A couple games the Knicks led for less than 8 minutes.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. If they're the better team, why didn't they win? Isn't the better team, aren't the better teams the ones that can
you
close?
still have part of being good is closing out the game too.
Can you be considered a better team even though you led? I'll help the texter here. The Spurs led 72% of the time in the finals. Does it matter?
No.
If you're not closing out, does it matter that you're up by 13 and 12 and 20 and 14? Does it really truly matter?
No, because
if you can't finish what you started,
having the ability to hold on to leads is important, and also having players that are clutch and finish down the stretch, that matters too. And if you're not big on those things, or you don't have a lot of those things with your team, the Knicks had more of that. I don't know.
Andy, isn't it very similar to, I don't know, a guy hitting a home run when his team is down 11-0 and he makes it 11-2 with a 2-run homer? Isn't it kind of the same?
Yeah, sure.
Good, isn't it a great regular season and then crapping the bed during the postseason? Hi, Lamar Jackson. Hi, Josh Allen. Hi, Justin Herbert. If I said to you, those guys are the better quarterback, or that guy's having a better game than fill in the blank, you're not winning. If you argue the Spurs are the better team, I want to know what the proof is.
You can say the Spurs are the better team and the West is better or whatever, but at the end of the day, matters who wins.
How do you define that?
How
can you honestly say that team was better when the other team beat you. It's not one game here. If this were one game, I get it. Okay?
Sure,
This
yeah.
is a series. This is totally different. This is a series. The better team plays the entire 48 minutes. The better team closes. If the better team was San Antonio, how do you blow a 29-point lead in a game?
Exactly.
How do you blow double-digit leads in every single game and still try to contend you're the better team?
And how was anybody better than the Knicks in these playoffs when they did what they did
Nobody.
for the last 3 rounds?
There's nobody
Come on.
who was better than the Knicks during the playoffs. We got to go to break. 8:18, we've got Hero and Heel. We look forward to that. If you want to share it with us, you can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. Join us in the chat as we stream live on X, Facebook, and YouTube, brought to you by Meyer.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Our worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contest or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Final hour of the program. Thanks for being with us on this Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text is Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as we stream live on X, Facebook, and on YouTube as well. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. I think it's a really good debate, because I've said this before. So I'll give you an example. 2013, Michigan plays Louisville in the national championship in college basketball. I thought Michigan was a better team. Now, the texter who texted in and said San Antonio was better than the Knicks could have said, well, Shep, you're using the same argument. The difference is I'm talking about a series here. One game, a lot of things can happen. 1980 Olympics, right? When you beat a team in a series, and it's the best out of 7, and you beat that team in 5 games, you're trying to tell me the team that lost is the better team? I'm not buying that. Sorry. Just doesn't work that way when it comes to a series. So I'm going to stick with that. I think if you're the better team, you win it. Just because you build a lead doesn't mean anything. So, with your philosophy, the Detroit Lions against the San Francisco 49ers a few years ago in the NFC Championship game was the better team, even though San Francisco came back and won. You know what you were saying to your buddies that day? Damn it, they choked. Damn it, they couldn't put them away. We've brought up the word choke before. Greg Norman in the Masters, leading like he did. They don't hand the trophy out to the guy who's leading after 3 rounds, do they? They hand the trophy out and the green jacket to the guy who won at the end of 4 days. In the NBA, the best team is the New York Knicks because the San Antonio Spurs couldn't beat them in a 7-game series. That turned out to be 5 games. Via text, our friend Freddie. Shep, this Tigers team is not going anywhere fast. Let's be honest. The best thing that happens for Scott Harris is the Twins imploding 2 seasons ago. Torque and Riley, once again, 4A players. When it matters, this is a platoon roster. Well, you're gonna stick with that. I've told you this before. I've given you the numbers. I know you're basing it off what you see and how you feel. It's more about how you feel than what you see, probably, which is unfortunate. But Riley Green is not a 4A player when the game is on the line or when it matters most. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you he's the most clutch and he's the guy I want to see all the time. Blah, blah, no, okay? But I've given you the numbers, and I've told you how good he has been overall. You don't want to use that. That's fine because you've got your mind made up. I'm not going to be able to change your mind. I just strongly disagree. To call him a 4A player when it matters and that this, well, I don't think you're saying he's a platoon. It's a platoon roster. I agree it's a platoon roster outside of, 3 or 4 players. I was playing golf with a friend on Saturday, Kirk Gibson. He said, look, the loss of Parker Meadows is bigger than people think. And the defensive run save numbers would bear that out. Bear it out. And, yeah, he is missed. A platoon roster, you're 100% right there. Outside of Green, the guy you don't like, McGonigal, and Dingler, and Torkelson, another guy you don't like, who's wearing thin on me, too, for his performance. Not from him as a person, but his performance. Can't stomach it anymore. Everybody else is platoon. Cole Keith's platoon. Zach McKinstry's platoon. Matt Vierling is platoon. Wencel Perez is platoon. Kerry Carpenter's platoon. Yeah. I don't like it, man. I've never liked it. I've said this for almost 10 years. Okay. So you're not telling me anything I haven't said, thought, or discussed. I can't stand it. I love the game. I hate the way it's played today. But you're also talking to a guy who doesn't like the pitch clock. I don't like a lot of the rules that Major League Baseball has implemented. Some I do. I've come around to certain things, like the third wild card. But there's a number of things that I don't like about the game. And how managers manage and how analytics takes over everybody. I'm not talking about one specific manager. I don't like the way a lot of managers manage. I don't like pulling pitchers early. I don't like relying so much on bullpens. I don't like the lefty versus righty matchup and so on and so forth. All right. I think there's a fine line there. How do you make a lefty comfortable against lefties if you're not going to give him a chance to bat against lefties? Right. I hate the platoon stuff. I hate the quote unquote versatility. If I say that, I'm a hater with guys who can play multiple positions. I think these guys are phenomenal athletes. I think they can play a lot of different positions. I give so much credit to guys like Matt Vierling for what he did in college, Bobby Thigpen for what he did in college. When Bobby Thigpen was at Mississippi State, he was their right fielder. Everybody saw him as a closer with the Chicago White Sox, and for good reason, held the American League record for number of saves in a single season for a long period of time. But you know what? He was a really good right fielder at Mississippi State. Matt Vierling was a really good center fielder at Notre Dame, and he was their closer. So I have great respect for their athleticism. But at the major league level, I don't want guys who can play third, short, second, and right field. I want guys who can play one good position great. Have them work with Alan Trammell at shortstop over and over and over and over again. Field ground balls and become a great shortstop if you think he can. That's what I want. I'm not going to get what I want because that's not the way it is in baseball anymore. We want to be able to move guys all over God's green earth so these guys can actually play multiple positions. Make them great at one. And then you don't have to worry about it. It's crazy how baseball is like that more than any other sport. Like football, you've got guys who can play guard and tackle or maybe guard and center. But that's in an emergency situation. You're not shifting guys constantly for that. Hey, Graham Glasgow, today you're going to play center. Next week against the Bears, you're going to play guard. And then we're going to move you back to center. They don't do that. They do it in an emergency situation.
You know what they'd say about that? They'd say that's messing with them and their technique.
Some people do. Yeah, some people say that. I don't know if it's technique when it comes to baseball. I think it's a comfortability.
Yeah, I mean, doing the same thing every day, I think definitely does something for you.
Yeah, if I move you constantly, am I telling you, great job, you're versatile, or am I telling you, man, you're just not good enough to play there every day? I suppose that depends on how.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like usually with the utility guy, like you know your role in the team, but the Tigers have so many people that switch positions.
It's unbelievable.
You can't have that conversation with one guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I know they don't like to use that term, and maybe it's unfair. Outside of four guys, who's got a home? I don't even think McGonagall's got a home. His home is he's in the lineup every day, and rightfully so. Where's his home defensively?
Yeah, they definitely haven't just given him shortstop yet. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah.
Look, it is great to have Javier Baez be able to play center field. But when you're healthy, are you having him play center field? My hope would be no. It gets to me, man, because it drives me flipping nuts. They think this is the way to go. This is where they get the label of smartest guy in the room. It's a constant, you know what? We're going to win it this way. Who's the last team to win it this way? Is there another team that has had this many movable parts? Detroit doesn't have an everyday center fielder. They don't have an everyday right fielder. They don't have an everyday third baseman. They don't have an everyday shortstop. They don't have an everyday second baseman. I want you to think about that for a minute. There's 8 position players, 9 overall, but take away the pitcher. I'm talking about 8 position players. 5 of them are not consistent in where they play every day. And Dingler, he'll get the lion's share for sure, but he can't play every day. Not many catchers can. So if you look at it that way, you might have 2. And you don't even want Torkelson. He's a -9, or first base is a -9 defensive run save. And he's not pulling his weight offensively. That's a humbling way to look at this Tigers team right now. We got to take a quick time out. We'll get to Hero and Heels on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. And it's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined.
The Tigers' finale against the Guardians was wiped out by rain yesterday, and you know what? That's not a bad thing. The Tigers had lost 11 of their last 12 regular season games against Cleveland going back to last year, and they'd averaged just 2 runs a game in those 12 games. The Tigers had averaged 7 runs a game through the first 9 games of June. They were bombing the ball. Then they scored just 3 runs in 2 games against Cleveland. It's the offense that was driving the hot start to June. 23 home runs in 9 games. The team was playing relaxed and loose, having some fun, making plays, never out of a game. It's critical to show that wasn't a fluke in the next few weeks. The schedule is complying. Houston is up next. They're giving up a lot of runs. The Tigers will face them twice in the next 4 series. The rotation's getting healthy. The offense now has to do its job.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Okay, back with you every Monday, 8:18. We give you our hero and our heel of the weekend. The hero, the best of the week. The heel, the worst. It could be week. It could be weekend. I think there's a couple that are obvious. So I oftentimes try to go off the beaten path. Andy, I know you got yours ready. My hero is Jacob Mizrowski. The Brewers ace might be the best pitcher in baseball. Might be. Definitely the most overpowering pitcher in the game. Friday night, he shut down the Phillies, throwing a one-hitter, facing the minimum number of batters and striking out 15. Andy, he threw 95 pitches. 74 of those pitches were for strikes. 25 swings and misses. Did not have one 3-ball count and only had 5 2-ball counts. His fastball reached 104.5 miles per hour. He is now in a stretch of 8 starts in which his ERA is 0.17. He has struck out 80 during that time and has allowed 1 extra base hit. Now, my initial thought was Jalen Brunson, first player in NBA history to win Finals MVP, Conference Finals MVP, NBA Cup MVP, like that matters. But I just can't get past how dominant Jacob Mizrowski has been for Milwaukee, so he's my hero. How about you?
that was actually, you sent me the rundown. That was going to be my hero. I wrote it down on Friday night. I was like, that's an unbelievable performance. But I got another one for you that was up there for me anyway, too. I had USA men's soccer. They won 4-1 in their opening game. They scored 3 goals in the first half. It's just not something you see in a lot of these games at all. So they deserve a lot of credit for that and just kind of making a statement in the first game. Everybody's kind of made a big deal about how tough their group is to get out of in this first group. So to get a win like that to start against Paraguay was a pretty big deal, I feel like.
Good for them. I've seen a lot on social media about people who are visiting here for the first time and what they love about America. These events are going off without a hitch, and that's great news. And it's good to see the U.S. Get off on the right foot. Let's get to our heel. My heel, it could have been Jahmai Jones. He's 0 for his last 17, 1 for his last 30, 2 for his last 40. But I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. So to our texter, an earlier texter's point, the Spurs led for 72% of the finals. 72% of the finals, not in one game, but of the finals. They had double-digit lead in every game, including a 16-point lead in the second quarter in game 5, and yet they lost in 5 games. Think of this. The Spurs had a 92.3% chance of winning game 1 when they led by 13 in the third, and they lost. They had an 83.5% odds to win game 2. They were up 12. They had a 99.6% chance to win game 4 when they were up 20 in the fourth and lost. They had a 97% chance in game 5 to win when they were leading by 14 in the third. But they lost them all. Jalen Brunson scoring 45 for the Knicks. Rest of his team scored 49. Spurs didn't adjust to him. New York closed the deciding game on a 21-7 run. They have proven to be one of the better champions in recent memory. San Antonio might have helped them along a little bit. That's why they're my heel of the week. How about yours?
Listen, I understand they won the series, but the Athletics for allowing 23 runs to the Colorado Rockies. At the end of the day, their record is 27-45, and they allowed 24 hits. And in a game that was 101 degrees in Vegas, I don't think anybody'd want to be out in the field for that long. Oh, so that's just that's the disrespect to both teams. And then just to mention, ex-Tiger Willie Castro had a grand slam and 7 RBIs. So, yeah, they everybody was having their way is what I'm trying to say with that.
Castro had 2 homers, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he had 2 home runs in that game. That was amazing what they did. Like you said, 24 hits.
My girlfriend was like, "That's fake, right?" And I was like, "No, I think that just happened today." Actually,
yeah, that's AI, right? Yeah, I mean, you could understand that. That's a team that they had lost 3 in a row, as you mentioned. Their last place, 27 up, 45 down. Willie Castro had 2 homers, including the grand slam, had 4 hits. And the Rockies, 24 hits was one shy of the team mark that was set back in 2011. So how much of that was Oakland pitching? How much of that was A's pitching, and how much of that was Colorado's really good offense. I don't know.
Yeah, the first thing for me was I thought the game was in Colorado because, sometimes the ball could just fly out of that ballpark.
Yeah.
And then I looked at that and was like, no way. So that's crazy.
Jeffrey Springs was the starter for the A's. Went 4 innings, gave up 8 runs, 7 hits, 3 bombs, and threw 77 pitches. That's it.
Crazy.
Maybe he was around the strike zone too much because he
Truthfully,
threw 51 strikes. Yeah. Anyway, so the A's used 5 pitchers in that. That's a good one. I like that. Anybody else has one, we'll squeeze them in here on X's and Bros without question. Let me get to the final results of the poll question because Chris Solari is going to join us at 8:35. We're going to talk about Michigan State and the issues that they're having and whether Jay Back wants to leave and why Kentucky wants him so badly and what he's done. The things that he's done with Spartan Ventures is incredible. The thing he did at Georgia Tech was incredible. The loss of your president, I'm not sure people realize this. I mean, this is a lot of these contracts that coaches have and athletic directors or positions of power are all tied to certain things. It's not just players. Like we think, well, a player gets $500 extra $1,000 if he's a top 5 MVP candidate. Well, this is what athletic directors do because they have to do it for their coaches. Athletic directors put safety nets in for themselves too. The guy who hired me is now gone. That's an uncomfortable feeling because you know what it's like with athletic directors. You know what it's like with head coaches. How many head coaches keep X amount of players on their or X amount of coaches on their staff from the previous staff? Not many. Kyle Whittingham, would he keep a couple? 2 to 3? Same with Pat Fitzgerald. They just don't keep that many because they want their own people. Same thing with athletic directors. So Jay Batt made sure, listen, in my contract, if the president, Kevin Guskowitz, hires me and he leaves anytime, I got to cover myself. That's what he's done. It's going to be a little bit easier of a pill to swallow the longer he stays at Michigan State. But something's awry there. And I can't figure out why. I'm sure a lot of people are asking themselves the same question. Chris Solari will join us at 8:35 to talk about it. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from Friday. Here's what we asked you. Our Mitch Lanswell poll question: will the next 10 games, Cleveland, Houston, Chicago, decide the season for the Tigers? They lost the first 2 games against Cleveland. The third one was postponed. They start a 3-game set in Houston tonight. We asked you yes or no. Will that decide the season? How did people vote?
Well, 63% of the vote was yes. So people do think that this is a big stretch of games, and it obviously has not started good. 21% no, and it's already been decided was 16%.
Okay. Our Mitch Lanswell poll question for today: who should the Pistons trade for? Trey Murphy III, Kyrie Irving, Max Strus, or Kawhi Leonard? How about the daily wager? How'd you do on Friday? Were you NBA Finals bound or
no?
Tigers?
I picked the FIFA World Cup,
Oh,
and
you
I picked
right.
the USA to win. It was plus 110, and they backed me up. So that was good. Last week went 4-1. I think we'll take that. I'm starting risky tonight, but I'm gonna go with the Detroit Tigers to win at plus 109 tonight. I haven't picked them on the money line in a while, but I'm forgetting I don't know how to pronounce his name. This is Kai Wei Tang is pitching. His last 3 starts, his ERA has been above 5 in all 3. So maybe they can get the bats going again like they did the first 3 series in June because they're not playing against Cleveland.
And an indoor facility might help them. So
Yep.
that would be great. Framber Valdez against Hunter Brown tomorrow. When we come back, Chris Solari, the Free Press, joins us to talk about what's going on in East Lansing. This is X's and Bros on a Monday morning, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
In the den with Dan Dickerson.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined.
The Tigers' finale against the Guardians was wiped out by rain yesterday, and you know what? That's not a bad thing. The Tigers had lost 11 of their last 12 regular season games against Cleveland going back to last year, and they'd averaged just 2 runs a game in those 12 games. The Tigers had averaged 7 runs a game through the first 9 games of June. They were bombing the ball. Then they scored just 3 runs in 2 games against Cleveland. It's the offense that was driving the hot start to June. 23 home runs in 9 games. The team was playing relaxed and loose, having some fun, making plays, never out of a game. It's critical they show that wasn't a fluke in the next few weeks. The schedule is complying. Houston is up next. They're giving up a lot of runs. The Tigers will face them twice in the next 4 series. The rotation's getting healthy. The offense now has to do its job.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
35 after the hour. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of sports. Chris Solari is all over it if it's associated with Michigan State University, and he has been a busy guy, even though there's no college basketball, college football, college hockey, or college baseball for MSU right now, and he took some time out of his busy day to join us. Happy early Father's Day to you, first and foremost, Chris. How are you, man?
Well, I'm doing well, other than the fact that I got a breaking news story that just came across at 8:31. So good timing, Matt.
And the breaking news is, can you share?
You know, the breaking news is that MSU has reached a partnership with MSU Federal Credit Union for a jersey patch this year. They're planning on having an event sometime this morning, late morning, midday. So, as they say, details to follow.
Yeah, but you breaking it here, we appreciate it, and Free Press you'll break it on the social media with Free Press as well. Is this Jay Batts doing, or do you think it's people just under his tutelage that are doing something like this?
Well, I think we're about to find that out this afternoon or later this morning if J-Bat is there. I would assume that this is partly something he and his team of people have been working on because he brought in so many different people to work on marketing, sponsorships, fundraising, et cetera, for whatever the new Spartan Ventures is that is supposed to get off the ground here. And we haven't seen much else beyond hearing about it. And with Kevin Guskowitz leaving as Michigan State's president, and now Jay Batt rumored to be a finalist and potentially negotiating and finalizing a contract in Kentucky, a lot of questions right now. A lot of questions top to bottom over at Michigan State.
Just when you think things had turned the corner, when they get a more than capable, a very highly respected president, and you get, I think, a big name athletic director who most people would recognize as a difference maker in a department, things start to turn south. So let's start with the president who is off to Clemson. How did this happen with him?
Well, I think some of it, to me, I think there's some fault in a lot of different realms with this. I think, first of all, Kevin Guskowitz arrived trying to get the university and the board of trustees to make some promises to have less interference and less issues, which if you've been around this state, or for that matter, even more proximity, the board of trustees of Michigan State, that they're a meddlesome bunch, and they have been for 50 plus years. So an outsider with no ties to the university or the university community coming in trying to make those demands is quizzical. I think. I think in some ways that he is correct that there needs to be some sort of centralization of power with that, but at the same point, it's also his bosses. So I think there's a little bit of disconnect with that. I think some of it falls on the board of trustees, who can't stop being meddlesome because they're elected officials, and they are essentially, whether right or wrong, because how Michigan elects, not just for Michigan State, but also for Wayne State and the University of Michigan, how Michigan elects and runs through the candidates that even show up on the ballot for that is kind of farcical, beyond farcical, really. I mean, would you be better off with appointees? I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other question. But for Michigan State folks that keep saying, throw the board of trustees out, you're setting precedent for two other universities at that. That's why things are being treaded cautiously. You cannot just wholesale remove a board of trustees or change how you want to approach things, for one. And then I think the other part of this is the university, in that structure, that they had an attorney write up, their legal counsel write up an oath of I guess a pledge of loyalty for these elected board members, also is just bad athlete, whether or not that was Kevin Guskowitz demanding that. It came alongside with trying to give him a $2 million salary, a big bump to keep him at Michigan State. But they're still elected officials. Their oath isn't to the university, it's to the people who elected them. Again, right or wrong, because of how flawed the actual process is of electing you. So there's a whole mess with this that goes far beyond athletics, and that comes into play with how and where we are with Michigan State and Kevin Guskowitz.
Yeah, look, my daughter just graduated from MSU. She absolutely loves it. It was such a great place for her, and you and I both know what a wonderful place it is. Okay, the people, the atmosphere, the campus, everything associated with it. Why can't they get out of their own way when it comes to this stuff? If they lose a guy like Jay Batten, since it's a sports show, we'll focus on that, even though the president's a really big deal too, obviously. But if they lose him, how many ADs is that in a short period of time? It's 4 in the last, 6, 7, 8 years?
Well,
or so?
It was in the middle of all the Nassar stuff. Mark Hollis stepped down, I believe, in early 2018. So you've gone from, and this is on my watch. I took over the job of the Free Press in 2016. So it went from Mark Hollis to Bill Beekman as interim, and then Bill Beekman as permanent, as appointed by Governor Engler, who was an interim president at that point. Then it went to Alan Haller, and then from Alan Haller, it went to Jay Batt.
Right.
So you're looking at 5 ADs since 2018.
5 ADs.
8 years.
Okay, that's absolutely crazy.
And the thing that you just mentioned, you asked me a question on the outset there. Why can't Michigan State get out of its own way? I've had people who have been on that board of trustees ask me that same question. I've had people who have been in major leadership positions at that university ask me that same question. If you got those people asking me that question, that's your problem. I mean, these people can't get out of their own way, because everybody wants to have their imprint, their slice of the pie, their influence, their say over what's happening. And listen, I don't necessarily think the board of trustees right now, because they were questioning the Spartan Ventures. That's where at least one of the trustees' issues was with the Spartan Ventures and the secrecy and some of the things that were going on with that. And I think, to me, one of the biggest things, you mentioned your daughter went there, and it's a beautiful campus. When you were going through the recruitment process to get her there, what was one of the things that Michigan State pitched you on? How beautiful the campus is, right?
Right,
the
campus,
acreage that is there, the green space.
The academics, the camaraderie between students. Yeah.
Well, part of the Spartan Ventures is to basically put a business district right in the middle of that beautiful campus. That's a kind of a problem, right? I mean, you are then taking away the green space and the beauty. And that said, I mean, they do a good job of trying to integrate things there. I mean, there's a giant monolith of a football stadium there as well. But to talk about essentially auctioning off the major swath of land to private business, public land, mind you, to private business, there needs to be a lot of questions, I think, about that. And if the people in power can't answer those questions, and if the people that are their bosses can't get the answers to those questions, this is where we're at.
Chris
So there's a lot of fault in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, look, nobody's perfect in these situations. I completely understand, but you also have to, as a body, as a governing body, as somebody who wants to be what's best for the university, then you also have to recognize who's talented and provides a skill set to do what your university needs. And whether we like it or not, and whether people think that sports is not as important as maybe you and I do, it is vital for a lot of things. Just ask Alabama when Nick Saban became head coach there and how their enrollment went up. Okay. People like that stuff. It makes them feel good. Knowing that your job is to raise money, and he's doing that. You can't let a guy like this go. Not that anybody's irreplaceable, but you can't let a guy like this go, right? you can't blame him if he wants to leave. If the guy who hired him is going to leave as quickly as Kevin Guskowitz is. So what do you do?
Completely agree with that.
What do you do if J-Bat bolts for Kentucky? Where does MSU go next?
That's a good question because, I mean, I don't know if there's an answer to that right now.
I don't
Because
think there
guess what?
is.
Back in the same spot you were when Sam Stanley left as university president, it's, you know, and then Alan Haller was gone. I mean, you know, you can't put the cart before the horse. The general way to operate with this is to implement and install a university president and then let that president bring the athletic director. That's exactly what they did with Guskowitz and allowing him to bring in Jay Bat. You know, it took a little over a year, I think, with Kevin Guskowitz having Alan Haller as his athletic director. But then they moved onto that. So, you know, and they did it really is. I mean, there's been some cart before the horse situations when they hired Jonathan Smith before they hired Kevin Guskowitz. So, you know, there's a reason why Jonathan Smith put his stamp on or had it written into his contract that if Alan Haller wasn't the athletic director, then his buyout went down. Well, guess what? J-Bat had the same nomenclature and language in his contract that if Kevin Guskowitz isn't president, he gets it. So these people are the ones that are asking the board of trustees to sign a loyalty pledge, but then they've got escape hatch written into their contract. So, you know, it's the world we live in a lot of ways. But it gets exacerbated because of the 50 plus years of this kind of stuff that Michigan State has had. And I'll tell you this, when I did have a person in power over Michigan State asked me that question you asked me earlier, why can't we get out of our own way at Michigan State? I pointed to them. I said, you do realize that the 10 years with Mark Hollis as athletic director, Luana Simon as president, Mark D'Antonio as football coach, and Tom Izzo as basketball coach is the absolute outlier in the last 50 to 60 years. I mean, you had the crumbling of Duffy Doherty in the late 60s and his leaving. You had player boycotts for racial reasons in the late 60s and early 70s that in both the football and basketball programs. You had athletic director and football coach and basketball coach broomed out in 76 with Bert Smith and Gus Kanakis and I think it was Denny Stoltz at that point. George Perlis and John DiBiagio. I can keep going on about this. The outlier was the 10-year period of Camelot. The rest and reality of it is this is Michigan State. And I have a phrase that I tell a lot of people. Whenever something like this happens, they out Michigan Stated themselves this time.
I'm not going to totally disagree with that because you're more knowledgeable about it than I am. But there's a lot of schools that go through this. Okay. Maybe not as frequently, but there's a lot of schools that misfire on coaches, athletic directors, school presidents, and so on and so forth. I think it's the quick turnaround that stuns me. And I get why certain people have left. Last question for you. What's this do for Pat Fitzgerald? Pat Fitzgerald comes in, thinks, this is great. I've got a really highly respected president. I got an AD who just got here and hired me. And I know he's the bomb. I'm set up for success. What's it do for him, do you think?
Who knows? Who's going to be his next boss? You know,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying is like the amount of questions that come with this. And again, this is also assuming that J-Bat doesn't.
That's right.
Does leave for Kentucky. You know, there hasn't been any movement on that yet, although there was conversation that he might be formalizing and finalizing a deal. But remember, Michigan State also doesn't want to lose him. So there's going to be some backroom negotiating to try and give him a raise when the university is facing another major budget deficit across the board. And when they meanwhile had already tried to give more money to Kevin Guskowitz when they're cutting academic programs. So when you talk about that, that has a trickle-down effect across every facet of that campus and every department in that campus, because you got people that are trying to do research that are not getting the money and not getting the funds and not being able to hire research assistants and all these things because and you're going to tell them that we're going to give an athletic director who threatened to leave a raise, or we're going to give a president who threatened to leave a raise. It's a mess. But from Fitzgerald's standpoint, I guess you're kind of in wait and see. I'll leave you with this. Everybody over there seems to have, not per se the athletics people, but people who are around the university, whether it be alumni or whatever, like, well, make Tom Izzo the athletic director, make Tom Izzo the president. I mean, Tom Izzo can only do so many things.
I know. He's already stretched thin as it is. He does favors for everybody in college athletics, and he does everything for MSU. I mean, he's everybody's best friend. If there's ever been a person who I've ever met in my life, see you next time I need you. It's the people who do that to Tom Izzo. They need him for everything, and he seems to always say yes. That school, think about where that school would be without him as an ambassador. No, I mean this sincerely. They asked him to be in on all these.
Athletic director in that month after Alan Haller was dismissed, and before they hired Jay Batt.
Right. They still have things to fix without
committees to hire the union presidents. I mean. Right. He is a vital voice in that institution, but he's also still the basketball coach trying to win a second national title because that's what he's wired to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hard sell. I mean, Jim Tressel went and ran Youngstown State, but he also got out of coaching to do that.
That's right, and that's, with all due respect, that's Youngstown State.
Yeah, and on top of that, though, how much the amount of attorneys that athletic directors and university presidents have to deal with. I'm not sure Tom Izzo could deal with that, with how he feels about the legal profession at this point. So,
well, I would tell you this: he would do it a hell of a lot differently than other people have. I mean, you would know exactly what was going on with it. Listen, man, you are swamped. You are busy. We appreciate the short notice, but we always appreciate your voice of reason. You always give us great perspective. Have a great week. Happy Father's Day to you. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. You as well. Have a great week, man.
All right. Chris Solari, the Free Press. What a good man. A lot of stuff there, Andy. A lot of stuff with me.
Yeah, for sure.
It
won't be the last time we're unpacking it, is my guess.
Unfortunately, no. But our thanks to Chris, our thanks to Mitch Lyons, our thanks to you for giving us some time here on a Monday morning. We're back with you tomorrow, Tuesday. It'll be a Tullymore Tuesday tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Don't forget the huge show later on today from 3 until 7. He's got to be some golf course because that's where he is all month long. Have a great day, everybody.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Her worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lions season. They are a